Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I kind of didn't push the right button quite fast enough there, so sorry about that. But we're off to a good start here. I want to welcome everyone to our broadcast this evening. Welcome to COS Indiana Live. My name's Dale Parrish. I'm the State Director for Convention of States here in Indiana. And I want to introduce to you my co-host, Ken Kashuba. Hello, Ken. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well, Dale. Thank you.
Good, good. Well, you know what I'm going to mention now. We always mention this. I know this can't be more than maybe the sixth or seventh broadcast that you've co-hosted.
You have trouble with double-digit numbers, Dale. It's 15.
It's 15, really?
15, yeah. I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to get you, an abacus or something.
I'm just always surprised at that number. I don't know what it is.
I know. It seems like just yesterday. I know.
It does. It does. Well, I'm certainly glad to have Ken on. He's really made a very positive addition to our broadcast. So glad to have you, Ken. I'm glad.
It's good to be aboard. Yeah.
All right. Well, one of Ken's major duties tonight, he's got a number of things that he's going to do for us tonight, but one of his major duties is to monitor our viewer comments and questions. So if you are viewing this evening, either on Facebook or through our YouTube channel, feel free to make a comment or ask a question, and we'll do our best to bring that up and address it one way or another. So that'll be one of Ken's duties this evening as co-host, is to monitor those this evening. So Ken, before we get much further, I just want to mention again, I think we mentioned this last week. We're beginning to add more states this year to toward the effort of calling a convention of states. We got to get to 34 states. 34 states have to pass the resolution calling for a convention of states for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution according to Article 5. Well, last week, West Virginia became the number 18th state.
All in one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that all happened in one day. That is very, very unusual. But it all happened in one day. It kind of surprised us all. Well, South Carolina is just right on the verge, Ken, of being number 19.
We could be looking at 19 really soon. That'd be pretty amazing to have that many come on in less than a week.
Correct me if I'm wrong, if I understand this right, it has passed in the House, it's passed in the Senate, but when it passed in the Senate, the Senate had made some changes. It's my understanding they're not significant changes. So, But anyway, now the House has to reconcile those changes. And do I have it right? Do you think?
Yep, you do. Yeah, there was some very minor changes. I believe it had something to do with the with a clause that I think from what I remember reading, it had something to do with them wanting to take what do they call it? It's not a sleeper. What is the term? I'm going blank on it now, but it's
the
sunset clause. That's what it was. The sunset clause. Yeah. So
they wanted to add that.
I don't remember exactly. I know it was a sunset clause that was part of it. I don't recall whether it was added and taken out or whether they were putting it in. But
okay, all right. Well, anyway, hopefully that won't be a problem. That can be quickly reconciled. So, looking very, very strongly here for number 19, and I think, from what I understand, there are a couple more states ready to go out there very soon. We could very, very easily hit number 20. We could very easily hit number 20 this year. So
big accomplishment.
That would be great.
Yep.
Also want to mention that if you're viewing tonight and you have, or if you're viewing a recording of our broadcast tonight, if you have any question or a comment that you want to make to us, offline, then feel free to drop us an email. And our email address is raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. Raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. So that's how you can reach us when we're not broadcasting live here. So that's how you can get to us. Exactly. I just want to mention this. Now, this feature is not available on our normal Monday night broadcast, but on our roundtable broadcast, which will be coming up March 28th, we do that every fourth Monday of the month. We're going to offer a call-in feature. And Ken, we tried this on our February roundtable broadcast, didn't we, Ken?
Yeah, we had a little bit of some technical glitches on it, but I think it's coming up around the corner. We should have it ready to go for this next roundtable. Mm-hmm.
Ken promises we're going to have this ready on our March 28th roundtable, so we're going to hold him to that.
Yep, I'll give you my Social Security check if that happens. So.
Well, that's I know how important that is.
Yeah.
So once again, don't do this now. This is not available now. This will be available on our roundtable broadcast coming up March 28th. All right.
Yeah. Dale, I wanted to just interject real quick. We happen to have a couple of people online already, and no questions yet, but I did want to mention, here, I know we just recently, moved our clocks up. We all moved our clocks up an hour, and you'll recognize this gentleman, but I think he turned his clock up too high, or too far. I mean, I've got Jerry Rowe saying, "Good morning, cowboys, farmers, and workers in the Great Plains of Indiana and beyond." I think Jerry's a whole day ahead of us here. So I wanted to mention, Jerry, and let him know that maybe he went too far with his clock adjustment.
Yeah, Jerry can get kind of wound up at times.
Yeah, he can. We also had, I had to mention Matthew again, who's checking in from Scranton. So we have to do a shout out to Scranton, PA.
We always want to recognize Matthew. Thank you for joining us, Matthew. Thank you. Okay. All right. Very, very good. All right. Well, we're going to continue with our theme that we started the year off this year, and that is, what action can I take if I join Convention of States? So we're going to continue with that theme tonight. And tonight we're going to focus on social media. Now, we have a great guest for us tonight, Mary Thompson Mielke from Minnesota. She's kind of Ken's counterpart in the state of Minnesota for Convention of States. So we're going to be bringing Mary on here and talk to her very, very soon. So that'll be in our first segment. Then after that segment, we'll take a little break, and we're going to do a contributor segment, and we're featuring Marengo Mike tonight. So Marengo Mike has just created a new segment for Marengo Mike's Corner, and you can see that in our newsletter, which has gone out and available. The March newsletter has gone out, right, Ken? Is that
yes? It's all been on the shelves here for a little bit, and it was just freshly posted on our Facebook page as well. So
okay. So Marengo Mike always has a segment in the newsletter, Marengo Mike's Corner. So I'm going to play that for you tonight. It's very good. It's about critical thinking, and I think a very good one. And then in the second segment, we're going to do the polling, raise your voice segment, and I'll let Ken explain that a little bit more and bring up the QR code for everyone. So Ken, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and pull up the QR code. Again, that's something you can get your smartphone out and plug yourself into our polling tonight by just taking a screenshot of this QR code, a picture of it, and you can also join on your tablet or your desktop at slido.com and use the code 479756 to put yourself in with our polling questions tonight. And we always like to use the polling questions to figure out what it is our listeners want to hear from us or would like to have us discuss on our roundtable every fourth Monday of the month. So this will be also show up when it comes to time to do the polling. So if you had misplaced your phone or haven't got it quite yet, don't worry. You can get it when we start the polling. But that's the QR code.
I just want to mention this has been a great feature for us. We've had a lot of good response to the polling questions that we've posed, and like Ken mentioned, the responses to these questions drives then the content on our roundtable broadcast on the fourth Monday of every month. So it's your responses to the polling questions. And we're kind of limited to, I think we're limited to 3 questions, aren't we, Ken?
Yeah, at the moment we're 3 questions, 3 polling questions. Although you can always add questions in the chat or send them to us on our raise your voice COS at gmail.com.
Right.
So anonymously you can put them in as well.
I think the response has been so good to this. I think we're gonna look into expanding this. To get some more questions, more responses out there. So, all right. So that'll be then basically the third segment tonight. So that'll be coming up. So let's get started here with our first segment. And like I said before, we're talking about what action can you take by joining Convention of States here in Indiana. And we're kind of sticking also with the theme of the Convention of States and activism. So we're the vision statement for Convention of States nationally is to create this army of activists, self-governing activists, right, Ken?
Yeah.
That's the vision statement for Convention of States. Yes, we want to hold a Convention of States according to Article 5. That is obviously a very, very important goal that we're striving for. We need to get 34 states on board to do that. But the ultimate goal is the building and creation of this army of activists, and so that we can have a true influence on the future of this country. So,
strength in numbers, that's for sure. Yep.
How many now, Ken? We've got in Indiana here. We've got right at 65,000 supporters.
I think we're at 65. Yeah.
Now, what's the number nationally? Have you seen a recent number?
It's a good question. I'd have to pull that one up really quick. I think we're probably close to 3 million. I'm taking kind of a guess. I haven't seen the latest numbers.
5. I know it's over 5.
Okay.
I think it's 5.2, 5.3 million supporters. Maybe Mary will know when she comes on.
Been a while since I looked at those numbers, but yeah, I know we've got quite a nationwide group right now. So.
Okay. Yes, we do. And we want to continue. We do a lot in our everyday efforts here at Convention of States to grow the grassroots. That's when we talk about grassroots, that's what we're talking about, the number of those supporters out there. So we want to continue growing that number. Well, anyway, that's what we're trying to do. So let's bring on our guest this evening, Miss Mary Thompson Mielke, and let me bring Mary on here. There she is. Hello, Mary.
Hi, Dale. Good to see you.
Hi, Mary.
Good to see you.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. Do you know the answer to that?
I don't, but Dale Tipton does. Dale Tipton has that answer for you in the chat.
Oh.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll bring that on up here. It's there's our supporters.
See, what did I tell you? All right.
Thank you, Dale.
Yeah,
Dale Tipton.
Well, he's got to be a good guy. He's named Dale. I mean, that should be a given, right?
Have to have 2 of them to keep track of all these facts and figures too.
Dale is one of our region captains, up in the northwestern corner of Indiana, and one of our great region captains. So thank you, Dale, for that input. Well, Mary, so glad to have you this evening. And Mary, the weather down here in Indiana has been very nice. I think we've been in the 50s today, right, Ken? Or
yeah, probably up in the northern part of where you're in snow country of Indiana. That was probably true, but we actually hit about 64 in Indianapolis today.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the weather like in your area, Mary, in Minnesota?
Well, I woke up to 3 inches of snow this morning, and it was still flurries, and it finally has broke above freezing, and so it is about 35-ish.
Is it really? Yeah.
Still winter over here.
Yeah, and it will be. We here in Indiana, March, anything can happen in March. Anything can happen in March here in Indiana. So,
well, in Minnesota, we only have 2 seasons: winter and mosquito season.
Is that right?
Winter is about 9 months, and mosquito season's about 3.
3 months. There you go.
Is Minnesota known for heavy mosquito population?
It's pretty much the second state bird. With all the 10,000 plus lakes we have, yes, they're very widespread.
They're growing bigger in Minnesota. That's what I understand. Yeah.
Now, folks, mosquitoes was not a topic that we rehearsed. I just want you to know that. But I told Mary that we could go in all directions here. So anyway, that's very interesting. They're very nice. Well, Mary, as I mentioned to you, when we bring on COS leadership individuals, we always like to start off with you telling us your COS story. Not your life story, but the how, when, where you got involved in COS. And I won't say anymore. You tell us your COS story, Mary.
Okay, my story is going to be slightly short. It'll have 3 parts. I have a close family member who's been involved with Convention of States since 2018, has been very active, and has consistently shared with me the message. Then in 2021, when January 6th occurred, and the events were not portrayed accurately, and people were harmed, and I lost it. I no longer could sit on the sidelines. And at that point, I started brewing, how can I help? How can I get involved? What can I commit to? And that's when I decided to talk with my family member and say, hey, what does this look like? How do I get involved? I had been to a town hall in the past. I had been to 2 town halls before, and heard the message, signed the petition, and basically ended up volunteering in midsummer and joined the Minnesota team. And it's been a roller coaster for me, learning, absorbing all kinds of information.
Yes.
And so that's generally my story.
All right. Yeah, we kind of have a reputation when it comes to feeding information to new people in COS. It's like feeding them with a fire hose.
Oh yes.
We've tried to improve. It used to be really bad. Believe me, we've come a long way to try and tone that down some, because it's just
there's so much to learn.
There's so much.
And I think that's where a comms strategy and a communications team really can do wonders for the state volunteers.
Now, Mary, I don't recall asking you this. I know you work. I know you have are you in in your employment? Are you in a communications role in your employment?
Officially, no. So I work at a large healthcare system in Minnesota, and I work in the IT division. I am an IT program manager. I don't manage techie things, but I have a lot of program management, project management background. And in managing people and projects, a lot of what you do is all about communications and organizational change management. So I've taken those skills from my day job and have applied them to the mission of the comms team here in the state of Minnesota, trying to start an official comms team instead of it being one or two people, and actually make a team and a plan and tying things together.
Did someone ask you to take on that role, or did you read about it and decided that looked interesting to you, or how did that come about?
I actually applied for the state director role, and
Ken, did you hear that? Did you?
I did.
and they told me, you have to actually be on the team first. No, but so I knew the state director would be leaving, and I was willing to bite off a big portion of volunteering. And I knew my skills. And so I spoke with the regional director, and she advised that they already had 2 people lined up to co-direct the state. And my next choice of role would be then in more of a communications role, program manager type, building a program, building the processes and connecting the pieces together and making it simple and repeatable for people who maybe don't have a background, or who maybe haven't worked in a corporate world, so that I could just bring some of those skills and make it easy so that anyone could do it. So that's where I just naturally leaned to.
Well,
beyond the director role.
That's great. And folks, this is about activism. This is Mary's experience here of seeing what's going on and deciding to have to get up and do something about it. That's so many of us have gone through that very same experience, and that's what brought us into Convention of States. I mean, I did the same thing. The circumstances are a little bit different. The issues may be different, but the act of, we call it OTC, getting off the couch, and deciding to do something about it.
And I call it living your values. And a lot of times, I think there's people who don't know how to do that, or they haven't had great examples of how to do that. And so I'm really thankful for the COS organization, for the guidance that they provide on different kinds of activities that one can do to get involved. And there's no wrong answer. So when you want to get involved, they can find something for you. Yes. You're not forced down a path. A good state director and a good leadership team will, talk with you about what your interests are, what comes naturally to you, and what you'd like to do. And they'd be able to find a place for you to, contribute in some way, shape, or form.
And then we are working on that. Finding, and there are a lot of ways.
Yep.
And you can see that on the national news almost every day, be it a school board, be it a city council meeting, there are all sorts of activities, or a leadership role with Convention of States. There are all sorts of activities. So we won't. We're going way off track here. Let's get back on track. You you kind of spoke of this. I think the role of communications. That's what you're. What is of interest to you? Am I right? That
right.
Okay.
Yep. And the role of a communications team in the COS organization really is to educate, to inform, and motivate not only the public citizens who have never heard of conventions of states, but also the legislators in that state, as well as those on the volunteer team. So those a part of the organization already. And so really communications becomes the connection between the volunteers and the legislative process.
Okay. Well, let's kind of hone down one part of the role of communications, and that's social media. And this is what Mary is helping us do here in Indiana, and that is build a team of social media warriors, and actually build and implement a social media program here in the state of Indiana. Not a national program, but we're trying to develop a state social media program. And so tell us about how, I know this is an area of interest to you, Mary, thank goodness.
Yeah.
You're helping us a great deal. So what got you interested in social media?
Well, I have two grown children who are very active on social media. And so I learned from them about it. And in general, I think that the way many of society is using communications today is in that digital realm on social media platforms, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Instagram, whether that's Rumble, whether that's YouTube, even just, looking at a screen and seeing information, whether it's a blog, whether it's pictures, or whether it's video, and doing comments and sharing back and forth is a standard way that many people are communicating. And to meet your users or your viewers or the people that your citizens, the people that you want to get a message out to, that's where you need to be. You need to go where your people are at. You need to meet your people where they are at on whatever mode or method they're using. So if people, newspaper, a lot of people get newspaper digitally now instead of in a paper format. People used to take out want ads, and now that's on something called Craigslist, or in other realms. So it's a lot of the way we communicate is really in an electronic format. And so I became interested in understanding what the Convention of States national team had built out and what they recommend, or what they have designed as a guideline for states. And that's where I found that there was an opportunity. There is a strong national program within Convention of States for social media, and they have accounts on several different platforms. Yes. And they are engaging on those platforms. And it's really at the state's discretion on whether they want to engage at that deep level as well.
Right. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's why we found you. And Mary and I are in a Convention of States training program separate from this, and that's where I met Mary. And when I found out what all she did, I thought, boy, maybe she can help us out here. So that is, this broadcast and so much of what we do is geared toward, I mentioned it earlier, growing the grassroots. And so how do you get in touch with those people? And we're trying to focus on Indiana, but how do you get in touch with those people that are not in Convention of States in Indiana? And I think in this day and time, we gotta go through social media to get in touch with them. So Mary, I know we're going way over time on this, but that's okay. This is interesting. I want you to talk about the comms strategy workbook that you created.
So that tool is meant to be a somewhat of a guidebook or maybe a recipe of things to think about and things to plan ahead for when considering a state-specific Convention of States communications plan. It walks through creating the strategy and focusing on message content, and walks through different actions you need to take to prepare to develop that content and plan it and build accounts on different social media platforms and engage with other creators, quote unquote, or other contributors on those other platforms, as well as engaging with just the citizens in your state. And the workbook was meant to share the knowledge that I've gained over the last 8 months of learning and put it in one place. So in the event that I'm abducted by aliens and someone needs to come and take my spot, they don't have to reinvent the wheel and learn it all over. That there's something to go from, and they can choose what works for them and they can leave the rest. And it's just meant to be a helpful tool to get the leadership to think and plan ahead, assign people tasks that they want to do, and also have repeatable processes to carry out the strategies that the team comes up with.
Okay. All right. Right. Well, and she has shared this with us, and we're trying to absorb as much of it as possible, looking for the nuggets that in there that
Yep.
will be of help to us is what we're trying to accomplish. So before we let you go, Ken, any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I think I'd like, as a state communications coordinator, I think one of the things that I think we were all seeing is this explosion of new platforms. And I guess the question I might have for you, Mary, is within your own realm there of social media warriors, do you find any of these new ones really leading the pack? There's Getter, there's Gab, there's MeWe. I mean, there's so many. Do you find any of that are starting to work for you as far as you and your social media team? Is there anything special that's kind of leading the way in that area?
In the newer platforms, not as of yet. It's such an uphill climb to beat the behemoths that already have so many users on them. And until those users are dissatisfied and with the service and not getting what they need from that service, it's hard to get the masses to move to a new platform. So unfortunately, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok are the top the top of viewership, users daily on those platforms. I think Rumble is really going to give other platforms a run for its money, as well as potentially Truth Social when that is up and running fully. I think there will be a large exodus when that is fully functional.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot of people are waiting for that to happen. So yeah, it seems like there's large numbers in the wings there. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I would just like to pitch for anyone who's listening that you can become active on your own without having to get an official role, without having to spend specific amounts of time consistently, and just would like to inspire people in the daily communication and interactions that you have on any social media platform that you might engage in today. You always have the opportunity to comment on someone else's information that they put out there, or put out your own information, and redirect the conversation back to why the Convention of States project is the last best hope to restore constitutional integrity, and why a Convention of States would be the lawful legal means to rectify the structural changes we need in our government today. So you always have that opportunity in people's posting when they're negative about something happening in today's society to bring that conversation around and give them hope by sharing about Convention of States.
It's a good point, Mary.
Couldn't have said it better. All right. Mary, thank you very much for being our guest tonight. And we may just have you back again sometime.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, man.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Very
I
interesting.
want you very, very much so, Dale. I'm glad to have Mary, and there's so much material there. We'll have to have her back. I did want to just throw up. We did get a good evening, gentlemen, from Michael Paisley.
Okay.
So I want to let Michael know that we've seen his post there. And good evening, Michael. Glad you joined us.
Good. Well, let's take a break here and do a little Marengo Mike tonight, and then we'll come back and do our raise your voice polling. Okay.
Yep.
Welcome to another Marengo Mike's Corner, and welcome to class. If I gave you a choice of teaching you what to think versus how to think, which option would you choose? I'm positive all of you would choose how to think. Am I right? Would you also agree that what to think is now prevalent in our schools today? So, decades of a broken education system has led to a large percentage of people who cannot think critically. Would you agree? Critical thinking is needed in everyday life. One example that is dominant in society today is the hundreds of fake news items we see every day on the internet and social media. So, how do we find the truth? Critical thinking comes to your aid. Asking certain questions will help you process such information, such as who published the article? What are their sources? What are their intentions? Are they representing themselves or someone else? Don't you think if most social media users asked themselves questions like these, finding the truth would be more likely? Well, teaching critical thinking skills is just the beginning to fixing our broken education system. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time on another Marengo Mike's Corner. Bye-bye.
I'll tell you, that Marengo Mike guy, I tell you, he's always on target, isn't he?
He's been on the ball, that's for sure.
All right, Ken. You want to get the polling started with raise your voice?
I think Marengo comes back to tell us a little bit about that too.
Segment that features you. Scan the code and join the fun. It's your turn to be heard.
Well, there it is. Marengo's introducing once again our raise your voice segment, where this is the time to get your phones out, and basically we are going to pull up that code again along with our polling so that you can actively participate tonight in our questions. We got some good ones. All have to do with social media in a sense, and some of the things that are happening present day with our current situation of social media and cancel culture and other things that are going on. So that QR code will remain on the side. So if you got to get your smartphone out and get that started. I'll also let you know that this is up. You can participate in this poll for another 2 days, even after the program is long gone. So we want to go ahead and start with the first one tonight, and that basically is: have you ever been banned on Facebook or Twitter? I'd be curious to find out how many of our listeners have actually been banned. It seems like everybody I talk to has at least knows somebody that at one time or other has been banned. of course, we all really know that some of the things that have happened to our leaders, like President Trump, who was banned at one point from Facebook and Twitter, and we all still know that there are some major people from other countries that are still active on these platforms as well. So right now it's about 50-50. So that's an interesting mix at this point. That some have been banned, some have not. And that's an interesting part. It'll be interesting to see if that goes up or down in the next couple of days as well. It's kind of an easy question there. We'll go ahead and come on with our second question. Is the government's efforts to partner with big tech in removing social media content it finds problematic federal overreach? Do you consider that federal overreach? That the government is actually communicating and collaborating with these big tech giants to kind of influence what gets shown and what does not? Wow, we're jumping right up there with a yes. It's either yes, no, or a not sure tonight for that question, but it seems that is a part where Convention of States joins in and looks to correct this federal overreach that we're experiencing in so many different areas, from mandates to censorship. Seems that our government just feels like they can get involved in all areas of our lives, and that's one of those interesting polls. And we haven't a single no there, so we'll go ahead and move on to the third question. What are some ways to fix big tech censorship? We've got people that are talking about Section 230. I know we might have to have a separate conversation on what Section 230 is. There's another group of people that feel like decentralizing internet data is an important way to fix some of the problems we have by not letting the data be controlled by one or two major companies. So decentralizing the internet data is another way to look at that. And of course, requiring transparency from our federal government, something that they tell us every time they run, that they are going to be a transparent administration. I'm not sure quite how well they've done in the past decade or so. But these are a couple of areas. It seems like everybody's looking at repealing Section 230. And there are some now that are realizing the Transparency Act from our government. It's jumped into second place there. So this could be a topic that we might look at discussing at one of our future roundups as we talk about the different ways of dealing with censorship, and this all falls under freedom of speech to a lot of people. So
every administration talks about transparency, don't they?
I think so, Dale. I think everybody that comes on talks about they're going to be the transparent administration.
Right, and it never ends, and never.
It seems that's where we end up every time. So
right.
I will go ahead and stop the poll for the evening. Again, it's something that you can continue to jump into and answer. Keep that QR code or the slido.com available, and you can answer more questions or any of those questions for the next couple of days.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ken. Thank you very much. Just want to wrap things up now. Just want to mention to you that, of course, our national website, conventionofstates.com, that's where you go to join Convention of States. And that's the first step to take and to become a supporter and join Convention of States, conventionofstates.com. Also want to mention once again our next roundtable meeting coming up on March 28th. That'll be another COS Indiana live broadcast, same time as this one, except it'll be a different format. It'll be a roundtable discussion format. And we're already in the process of developing the content for that broadcast, and the responses that you submitted tonight from our polling will go into that determination. So that'll be coming up on March 28th. So I want to close this evening with another Marengo Mike contribution. This is a very short one, but I think it's a very, very good one. And So this is Marengo Mike's night, and I just want to go ahead and play this, and then we'll come back and say good night to everyone. So here's another little Marengo Mike's corner.
Marengo Mike here. Have you noticed more and more Americans are waking up to how deep the swamp really is? The curtain's been pulled back, and it's become evident there's a lot more work that has to be done. So, who are you gonna call to finish the job? Convention of States!
Who are you gonna call? Yep. You put that Marengo Mike into overtime, and he's out in the swamps already for you, Dale. I don't know.
Yeah, he sure is. But you heard us mention this earlier when Mary was on. The OTC theorem, that's off the couch, get off the couch. And I think that's so meaningful. So many of us got to the point where we needed to get off the couch and get involved, and that's what we're asking you as the viewers to do. If you're not part of Convention of States, this is a way to get involved. So we ask you to consider joining Convention of States and get off the couch and get involved. So Ken, that's it for tonight. You got anything else you want to mention before we sign off?
No, I agree. I think, I think we can look back and look how easy it is to get complacent and, get comfortable with our situation. I mean, Americans for the longest time, we've enjoyed our freedoms. And I think a lot of times it takes things like the world we live in today to make you realize that freedom isn't free. There comes a point like many of our forefathers had to do in different aspects of time. You have to get off the couch and fight, because that's what it takes to keep freedom free.
Yeah, it's more meaningful than ever, I think.
It sure is.
Sure is. All right. Well, Ken, thank you very much. We'll be back again next Monday, the 21st, for another one of our Monday evening broadcasts. Then, of course, on the 28th will be the roundtable meeting. So we'll look forward to seeing you all again next Monday, the 21st. So good night, Ken. Have a good evening.
Good night, Dale. You too. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.